Pakistan, you say Pakistan, yeah.
Lawrence dated a girl from there, and she said you have to say Pakistan.
Right.
Pakistan.
But I kind of mixed it. I did Pakistan.
Yep, a little bit later we'll find out and maybe get that girl on the phone. We'll find out what's going on with you two. But President Trump is now accusing Iran of violating the ceasefire, which expires tomorrow.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yinks joins us live from Israel with the latest. Hey, Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. The ceasefire between the United States and Iran is set to end this week. The U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and the American delegation are expected to travel to Pakistan today, going to Islamabad. State media in Iran, though, says the Iranian delegation has not yet departed for the talks. Iran parliament speaker posted to X overnight saying Trump, by imposing a siege and violating the ceasefire, seeks to turn this negotiating table in his own imagination into a table of surrender or to justify renewed warmongering. We do not accept negotiations under the shadow of threats, and in the past 2 weeks, we have prepared to reveal new cards on the battlefield. The reality is that Iran has violated the ceasefire multiple times, specifically in the Strait of Hormuz, where only 16 vessels passed through on Monday. President Trump has indicated he's unlikely to extend the ceasefire, saying this overnight.
Frankly, everyone is. They don't talk about it, but you can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You want to see a stock market get hit. You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon, and they'll use it here. They'll take out the Middle East. They'll knock out Israel in the Middle East. And they'll come to Europe and they'll come here because they are, let's say, ill, very ill, and we can't let that happen.
The president also posted a number of times to Truth Social saying, in part, Israel never talked me into the war with Iran. The results of October 7th added to my lifelong opinion that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. The Israelis agree with that position and have indicated they are prepared if the war resumes. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying this at a Memorial Day ceremony late Monday.
Our flag is planted from the depths of the Gaza Strip to the crown of Mount Hermon, and our pilots control the skies of the region as definitive proof of our superiority over the Iranian Axis. We have not yet finished the work, but the world is already recognizing our determination to defend ourselves, and not only ourselves, but to defend humanity from barbaric fanaticism.
President Trump posting to Truth Social that Iran has violated the ceasefire numerous times. This is true not just in the Strait of Hormuz, but remember, in the early hours of this agreement, they were still launching ballistic missiles at Israel and Gulf countries. Guys?
Hey, Trey, could you give me an idea? Are we letting ships through? Because we're seeing different reports. First, nobody's getting through. Then we boarded a ship that tried to get through. Do you have any reporting that talks about what's really happening in the Strait?
Yeah, the United States is allowing any vessels who are passing through this area to make their way to their final destination as long as they're not coming from Iranian ports. There were some reports overnight indicating that 26 vessels from Iran's shadow fleet were able to make it past the U.S. blockade. There is no evidence of that, and despite what one Democratic senator talked about, there is a concerted effort by the United States to ensure that any vessels that are coming from Iranian ports are turned around or seized, as we saw with that one cargo ship over the weekend.
So, Trey, that was just Iranian propaganda, right?
Yes, absolutely. And the shadow fleet that the senator is talking about is used to directly fund Iranian proxies across the Middle East, including Hamas, the Houthis, and Hezbollah, who are directly responsible for killing U.S. citizens. And so the shadow fleet is a very serious problem. It is not getting past the U.S. blockade, according to all reports and information that we have from the region. But it is a very serious issue that the U.S. Navy says they will crack down on, not just in the Persian Gulf, but also around the world, including in the Indo-Pacific.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
That's what I'm talking about. Rooting against the country.
Who is it?
What's the
Senator
name?
Chris Murphy?
Chris Murphy, the one Margaritaville with the illegal alien that was in that came to this country that got deported. Yeah. No. So it's like, why are you going against the country right now in the middle of a war?
Well, and you heard Pete Hegseth. He said this at every single press conference. He says, when you read some of these headlines from a lot of the media, the legacy media, whose side are you on? Because I'm under the impression you're under the side of Iran and not America. You're rooting for Iran.
So Senator Chris Murphy everything he says is so against this president. It's really against the country. Every time Senator Schumer talks on the floor, talks about things that he thinks are going wrong with the war. He preferred the JCPOA, which he didn't vote for, and we have that soundbite. But Chris Murphy is probably the worst. Sees himself as a presidential candidate, but now cheering for Iranian propaganda, hoping it's true. And here it is. The original post. At least 26 Iranian shadow fleet vessels bypass U.S. blockade. Senator Chris Murphy retweets. Awesome.
Wow.
So that's the senator from Connecticut. Now, obviously, you shouldn't be rooting for this anyway, right? That's the first thing. But number two is, it's clearly Iranian propaganda as well. So he's cheering for it, and then the information is still even not even true. He gets briefed on this type of stuff. He could make a phone call to the White House or get briefed by the Pentagon about this information.
He's hoping it's true.
Apparently, China's president did make a call with the Saudi crown prince, and this is what he said to him. The Strait of Hormuz should remain open to normal passage, as this serves the common interest of regional countries and the international community.
No joke. Hey, President Xi, snap out of it. It is Iran who you finance, support, and arm up and buy their oil, 90% of it, that has shut down the strait. Why are you calling Saudi Arabia saying open up the strait? Also, they're the ones who got to redirect all the oil around the strait.
Also, why would the Saudis reopen it after Iran has been attacking them?
Right, but they can't. But they're not in control of that.
Why would they even try to help with this negotiation when China has been silent on Iran attacking the Gulf states when they didn't even do offensive measures?
The Gulf states should turn the screws on Iran and say, if you want to do business with us, stop on China. Stop doing business with Iran. These shouldn't be friendly calls. And China is the wild card here. If China says, I need oil from Iran, and now any Iranian ship cannot deliver oil, they're the ones who should turn around and say, Iran, open up the strait. That's the theory. And even though they have some oil in reserve, this is straining their economy.
Yeah, don't forget, this is just Iranian ports. This is not allowing their ships to allow them to transport oil to other countries. We're not allowing any of their ships or their vessels to go through the Strait of Hormuz if they came from one of their ports. It's open to everybody else.
Yep. Robert Levinson's son joined me earlier. Now, Robert Levinson, if you don't remember, is a CIA agent that was picked up on Kish Island 20 years ago. And they've been trying to find out what happened to him. And they've been going multiple times to Iran. And these people are evil personified. They take hostages. They torture the hostages. They ask for ransom back. People like President Biden actually give them money for people. But Levinson, there's so much mystery wrapped around it. So I asked him how he feels about this. And he also said what makes it doubly hard is Iran's ambassador to Pakistan is the one who kidnapped his father. And he's got a diplomatic position, prestigious in that world in Pakistan. And he's negotiating on this peace deal with us. Watch.
There's only a few people in the world who know exactly what happened to my dad, who were involved in what happened to my dad. The FBI identified 5 of them. One of them was killed in the initial airstrikes at the start of this conflict, and another one is hiding in plain sight. He's right out there. He was at these talks, helping coordinate things, and it's a slap in the face to our family, slap in the face to the United States of America, because I don't know what the heck he's doing over there, and that Pakistanis allowed this. It hurts their credibility as an independent intermediary between the two countries, because they're allowing this man to take part in all of this.
Right. And sadly, when the last administration, the Trump people looked into it, and they looks like Robert O'Brien was actually the one. It looks like they have evidence that he did not survive. Robert Levinson.
That is so tough. Where is the justice in that situation? And same with your last interview when you were interviewing Hirsch's parents, his mom.
It's torture.
Bless her heart.
Yeah.
Torture.
At the same time, the European leaders go, we got to get these Palestinians a state. They did such a great job in Gaza, taking the money from you idiots, and they made tunnels, terror tunnels, where they've stored armaments under schools and hospitals. So Europe says, I really feel for those terrorists who do things like that, kidnap people from a concert.
Gosh, well, there is a scripture in the Bible, justice is mine, saith the Lord. And right after that, it says, and I will repay. Justice will be done at some point, face to face with your maker.